Welcome, friends, to another episode of Blossom and Bourbon. My name is Mark. I'm the owner here at Creative Occasions. Pleasure to have you in my workroom. We're going to be working on a really fun arrangement tonight. This design actually has an unusual container. And you know, we've talked about let the container speak to you. And interestingly, I had a client who reached out and said that she wanted the centerpieces for her wedding built in watermelons. It's like, okay, well, we can do that. And I have done something similar to that before, but it's been quite a while. So we kind of pulled this back out of the archives and did her centerpieces in watermelons. The setup for this is very simple. You do want to shave just a little level place off the bottom of the watermelon so that it sits nice and sturdy on the table surface. And then you're going to just slice off the melon where you want the depth of the container to be. Then you're going to just basically hollow out the melon. Make sure that you keep the pulp, which is going to be featured a little bit later in a drink that we're going to do. Keep the pulp, and then you will have essentially what is a bowl. For her situation with the wedding, we did a little plastic liner inside the watermelon, and that was primarily for transport. We wanted to be sure that when we were transporting and keeping the flower arrangements, that they were not interfering with the freshness of other flowers. And so that bowl seemed to be the best way we could, you know, lift the arrangement out, put it back in. In this case, as you saw, I am using some chicken wire. So we just have a very natural mechanic that's tucked down inside the melon. Because the melon is kind of soft and fleshy on the inside, the chicken wire just really grabbed into the side of that. So it worked out really pretty well. All right, we've got some lovely green hydrangea, some Israeli ruscus that we're gonna just basically kind of create a basic rounded shape with. In this case, the hydrangea is also gonna be part of the mechanic because it's gonna help to hold things in place. And we're gonna extend the line a little bit too with some of this ruscus, but also with some of the Soloman seal that came from my yard. Great time of year for products that are in your yard at home. So if you have flower beds or things that you grow at home, I'd love to know what those are. You know, share with me. What are your favorite things to kind of forage out of your yard? This is something that I have that this time of year is beginning to kind of wane a little bit in its beauty because it is more of a cool weather, kind of cooler crop. It likes to be in the shade. It does not handle full hot sun very well. And that's what we're having here right now in our area. There's a ton of heat here and humidity. Just gonna kind of work this general shape. I'm obviously thinking table centerpiece for this. I'm gonna do more of an oval shape, I think. Yeah, so the drink for tonight is gonna be one that uses watermelon juice. And basically I took the pulp from the melon, put it in a food processor, pulverized it, and then strained it, so what was left was the juice, and discarded the pulp. I've really been enjoying your all's comments lately. I hope that you'll feel free to comment. Tell me where you're watching from. It's kind of been fun to me to be here in the state of Virginia in the US and see some of your comments from around the world. So share that with me. Jason and I love to watch those things and see where you're commenting from. All right, one of the things that we want to be sure of with an arrangement like this is that we're going to have flowers all the way around because this is going to be on a table where guests are seated. So we want to make sure that we have something pretty for everybody to look at. Got to pull in a little bit of the red, especially since we're using a watermelon, right? And because I don't want this to feel very tight and like a ball sitting on the watermelon, I'm going to kind of extend the line a bit with the Gerber daisies and make them feel a little more whimsical because honestly that's what Gerbers are. It's kind of a whimsical flower. And for those of you who are curious, and I know you all are, we have in the description below the video a description of, or a list of all the flowers that are in the arrangement, as well as a description of the mechanics, and if there are any of the products that we've used that are available to you. I have links, affiliate links in there for that as well. And as per usual too, we love knowing that you just tap on that like button. Let us know that you're watching. Tell us where you're watching from. Be sure to subscribe so that you'll be notified of new content. It's always a fun and important thing for us. This really is not a specific form for arrangement that we're doing. It's going to be one of those that really is more just about having a lovely arrangement. It's going to be kind of low in style. It's one of those things that you shouldn't fret too much about, just have fun doing. You can see as I was pushing that stem in that chicken wire in there is really holding firm on those flowers. They're not going to go anywhere. Because this is a Viking palm, and because these Vikings are so dense all the way down, I'm just trimming off the bottom a little bit so that I can get a more manageable stem that will go into the arrangement. Some designers have a preference about the mechanic or the device that they use for designing. I typically use a knife for trimming flowers. Lots of people use the snippers or clips like this. Honestly, either is fine. It's kind of a matter of personal preference. There are some stems, the hydrangea being one of them, that they're so woody and so thick that it's much easier just to use a pair of snips to cut those stems than it would be to do that with a knife. It's always important, regardless of the tool that you're using, to put an angle on the end of the stem so that there's more surface for the water to be absorbed into the stem of the flower. And that's super important. We want to make sure that we have as much surface area going in there for water absorption as possible. Okay, I like how that's looking. I pulled these lilies out. I'm not sure that that's gonna be my jam for this arrangement. I'm gonna stick a couple more of these Vikings in there. Vikings I love so much because when a real sunflower just doesn't work, or if it's too big, these little Vikings are great. I don't know, I also like the fact that not all the rim of the arrangement is completely covered with foliage, and that allows you to actually see that there is watermelon rind there, and I think that's kind of cool. So I'm not going to work to cover that up. I'm going to leave that kind of exposed so that you can see in. I like how kind of wispy and open that feels. Let's add one more forage thing to it just for a little more wispiness. This I only know as Johnson grass. Jason, have you ever heard this called anything else? We live on a farm, and going up and down the road to the farm, this grows along the side of the road. And I just love the texture of it. I love the sort of little bit of red that comes into those little grains in the feathery end part. It's just one of my favorite things. I'm always sad when it leaves and when the season's ended for it, but it's such a great product. And you know what? I'm not going to trim that brown off of that either. I really like that. Yeah, this is definitely what this needed. It needed to feel a little more outdoorsy, you know, like we're going to sit this on the table on the patio and have a cookout, cook some great grilled chicken or something, you know, nice and healthy on the barbecue. And that too kind of reinforces that longer line that we started with that gives us the oval shape that works for a centerpiece. I think we're about finished with this. I'm going to save these for another use for something else. Oh, no, sorry. Lotus pods, dried lotus pods, I thought would be so cool in this because the little openings in the lotus pod remind me of the black seeds inside the watermelon. So I thought, oh, that would be a really cool addition to that arrangement. So we're just going to put a couple in there just to kind of add that little bit of texture, that darker contrasting color. Perfect. Let's make a drink. What do you say? All right, so this is going to be a watermelon old-fashioned. You know, ever since Laney Wilson came out with the song Watermelon Moonshine, I've been thinking about doing a drink with watermelon and did some research and found this one, and I think this is going to work. This is the pulverized watermelon that has been strained into a container. So this is just straight fresh watermelon juice. We're going to start with a little bit of ice in our stirring glass. And because I happen to have this handy, we're going to use basil-laden toast. There's going to be an ounce of bourbon. It would be a tragedy if I put too much, wouldn't it? An ounce of bourbon in here. Next, 3/4 of an ounce of bitters. So we're going to call that 5 shakes. Sounds good, right? Next up, 1.5 ounces of the watermelon juice. This is certainly going to make it pretty for sure. Next up, 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. Simple syrup, as you know, is equal parts water, equal parts sugar, cooked on the cooktop until the sugar is completely dissolved and then chilled off. Adds just a little bit of sweetness. Next, 1/2 ounce of fresh orange juice. I apologize, not fresh. You know, I love citrus flavors, so I was excited to see that that orange juice was in there. All right, we're gonna give this a quick stir. Blend all that, look at that pretty color, wow. All right, then I'm gonna have some fresh ice in the glass. Then we're gonna strain this off. And because no cocktail is complete without the garnish, right? And as an homage to both the orange and the watermelon, I'm gonna have a little bit of both. There we go. How's it look? It looks like I want to taste it. That's how it looks. Golly, I love that color. Look at that with that arrangement, beautiful. All right, let's see what it's like. Oh, that's really pretty good. You know, honestly, I wasn't sure how the basil-laden toast was going to work in this drink because it's got a little sweetness to it, but the little bit of smoke in the bourbon kind of offsets the sweet. I think I like it mighty fine. You guys, homage to summer. Make yourself a flower arrangement in a watermelon. Make yourself a watermelon old-fashioned. Sit back and relax and enjoy these hot, humid summer days. It's been a pleasure having you with us. I hope that you'll join us again next time. And until then, cheers to you and to flowers every day. Thanks for joining.